If I forget these things, it doesn't work properly. So, I know we finished this last lesson. This was lesson 7, and today we're going to do part 2 of lesson 7, which is in your activity book. Who can say what page number it is in your activity book?
75. 75.
Yeah, that's right, 75. So if you open your books to 75, I have it 2 on here, but I'll just make it bigger because I don't want everyone just copying. That's the problem with having everything on computer that I do for online teaching is some students just sit and they don't listen, they don't think, they just wait, and then they copy. They just copy what they see, and that's what I try to stop. Right, it says here, writing tip. The word tip is usually, you give a little bit of extra money for good service, like in a restaurant or something. You can leave a tip, a little bit extra money. It's like a service charge. That's called a tip. But a tip can also mean, as in here, ideas. Giving somebody ideas of how to make things better or how to do something. Right. We're talking about speech. Speech. It says there, speech. Speech means speaking. And when we write in a text or a story, how do we show that the person is speaking and it's not the writer who's speaking, if you know what I mean? So here we see the farmer from the story about the holiday in Spain on the working farm. And to show that what the farmer is saying, not what I'm saying or what the book's saying, what he is saying, we have this circle with this like little tail going down to the picture, which shows that he is speaking. And that is called a speech bubble. You find these in comics and things. You know, anything where there's a picture showing that what somebody in the picture is saying, we have this called a speech bubble. So the farmer is saying, the Benson family picked the olives for me. It isn't an easy job. Now, if we don't have pictures, it's just a story, then we have these like double apostrophes. They're called speech marks. Speech marks. And you put a speech mark when at the start of what the person is saying, and then you speech mark again when the person is finished speaking, and then if it starts again when it stops. So everything the person is actually saying, everything the person is saying is in speech marks. These look like double apostrophes. As you can see, he said is not in speech marks because that's not what he says. So the farmer said, the Benson family picked the olives for me. It isn't an easy job. He didn't say he said. Now, when you read things like this, when you read in your mind, or if you're reading aloud, it's like reading a story. It's intonation. So to show it, you don't have to change your voice to sound like the farmer, because we don't know what the farmer sounds like, but just to make it sound natural, you would say the The Benson family picked the olives for me. It isn't an easy job. Something like that. And here, because we have speech and not speech, we change the tone. We change the tone of my voice. So a low tone when he's not speaking and a higher tone when he's speaking, and we have a gap. We stop between like this. The Benson family picked the olives for me, he said. It isn't an easy job. He said is a lower tone or a bit slower. All right, so just try to make it sound just a little bit different. The Benson family picked the olives for me, he said. It isn't an easy job. Right, so circle the speech marks. So I'd like you to use a color pencil, any color you like. Speech marks. So in the sentences 1 and 2 below, I would like you to circle the speech marks with a color pencil. Do that now. Do that now in your book, and I'd like you to do it yourself and not just copy. That is why I'm not showing more of the screen. So circle where it says number 1. Kerry said Mike was very excited because he's bored of beach holidays. Just circle the speech marks with a color pencil. And number 2, we saw some interesting places, said Emily, but the best part of the holiday was being on the farm. Right, and I'm sure most of you have finished that already because it doesn't take long to do that. Right, so now you can see, yeah, you should have something like this. Okay. You circled the speech marks. Right, I would like one student to show everyone how to say number 1. Who's speaking? Who's going to have a go at reading number 1? Go on, Marty.
Okay. Carrie said Mike was very
That's okay. It's okay. Do it again.
Carrie said Mike was very excited because he's bored of beach holidays.
Good. Yeah. It's always easy to make mistakes when you're reading something aloud to everyone. I do it all the time. You hear me sometimes say, oh, sorry, and I start again. Okay, number 2. Who's reading number 2? Best, go.
We saw some interesting places, said Emily. But the best part of the holiday was being on the farm.
Good. Well done. What is good is both of you stopped before we start the speech, or after the speech you stop, and that's good. But what you should do is where it says said Emily, you should speak that in a softer voice. So we saw some interesting places, said Emily, like that, said Emily, softer. But that's good. That's good. That's okay. Now, speech bubble. So that was speech marks. What you'd see in a story or something that you're reading that doesn't have pictures or doesn't use the pictures to tell the story really. But where we do have the pictures, we have the speech bubble. Read and write sentences in the speech bubble. So you see the difference here. It was a great holiday, said Mr. Benson. But here we have a picture of Mr. Benson who says, it was a great holiday. No speech marks because this is in a speech bubble. So, do that with numbers 2, 3, and 4, please. Write the speech into the speech bubbles of numbers 2, 3, and 4 in your book. All right. So number 2, Jim said, it was very hot in Spain. We had ice cream every day. Write the speech into the speech bubble. Number 3, Mrs. Benson said, the cottage and the swimming pool were fantastic. And number 4, I loved all of the farm animals, said Emily. Okay, so write the speech into the speech bubbles. Remember, when you're writing, you have 2 lines. In fact, I don't need to hide that. I don't know. You have 2 lines, so you can use your 2 lines. You don't have to do it all on 1 line. Remember to start at the left of the line. Some students still get that wrong. Small gaps in the words, a little bit bigger than the gap the computer does. That is too small. All the letters the same size. When you get near the end of a line, you just go to the next line. Doesn't matter what word it is. When you're near the end of the line, you go to the next line. Right, I think the best way to check these answers and also to give you a chance to speak is so number 1, one student reads this part, then another student reads the bubble. So who's starting by reading number 1?
Pakin.
Pack in, go.
It was a great holiday, said Mr. Benson.
Yep, it was a great holiday, said Mr. Benson. Who's reading the bubble?
Best.
Best.
It was a great holiday.
Good. Best, try not, you sound a bit like a robot when you speak. Try not to say it was a great holiday. Try to say it was a great holiday. You know, make it flow a bit more. Okay, good. Number 2.
Pufai.
Pufai.
Jim said it was very hot in Spain. We had ice cream every day.
Good. Again, where it says Jim said, you should try to change the tone of your voice a little bit. Okay, good. Bubble. Who's doing number 2, bubble?
Pakin.
Pack in.
It was very hot in Spain. We had ice cream every day.
Yeah, that's okay. Right. So your writing should look something like this. Don't forget, Spain with a capital S is the name of a country. Full stops are, there is no gap. Means dit gun. That is something that some students still get wrong. Some students like to put the full stop in the middle between the 2 words. You don't do that. It goes right next to the last word.
Teacher.
Yeah.
The picture and the sentence is
In number
not
3.
the same.
In number 3.
Yes, I think it was very hot.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
It
and
said Jim said, and Jim is the boy.
yeah, I agree absolutely. Oh, I noticed this when I did this with another class. It says Mrs. Benson. Well, that's not Mrs. Benson, is it, in this picture here? So yeah, you're right. I think the sentences don't match with the picture. I think there's a mistake in the book. But yeah, I'm. So maybe Jim said maybe that's number 2 is this one here, isn't it? And number 3 is picture 2. And number 4, yeah, these two are mixed. These two pictures here. All right, never mind. You're right. You are correct, though, Marty. I noticed that also earlier because one student was reading Mr. Benson. I says, "No, it's not Mr. It's Mrs. A teacher." The picture. Oh, yeah. Okay. Right. Who's reading 3? Speech marks.
Marty.
Marty.
Mrs. Benson said the cottage and the swimming pool were fantastic.
Good. Who's reading the speech bubble?
Tara.
Tara. Good.
The contact and the swimming pool were fantastic.
Cottage. Yeah. Good. I've noticed that many people say that word cottage a little bit wrong. This AGE at the end of a word, it sounds like idge. Idge. And I can show you exactly what I mean. If I write in, if I write can you read that? Who can say this word? Who can say? Anyone? This word here? Right, so at the top is how the word is spelt. And underneath is how you pronounce your word, how you say the word. So you say wantage. Wantage.
Wantage.
Yeah. And Wantage is the name of the town where I lived in England.
Well, I live it. I
Huh?
live it.
I live with อะไร love ไม่ใช่ live โอ้
I love it. And can will pick my.
What's this? I love it. I live it. I do it. What's going on here? Okay, so Wantage, that's the name of a town that I used to live when I lived in England. When my mother and father used to live. But now nobody lives there. Sad. Right.
Teacher, I think we're confused about American English and British English because the most movie cartoon is American. ABC
Yeah.
song is American too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. If you I mean, yeah, the pronunciation of some things, whether you say wantage or no, sorry, if you say tomatoes or tomatoes, potatoes, yeah, it doesn't really matter. Even in England, we have different sounds of words, different pronunciations. Okay, number 4, who's reading?
Hakin.
Shogun.
Shogun.
I live on the farm animal, said Emily.
Wow, that was 100% robot, wasn't it? That was Pizarro robot. I loved all the farm animals, said Emily. Come on, it's got to sound different. This is supposed to be speech. I loved all the farm animals, said Emily. Again, Shogun.
I live on the farm animal, said Emily.
A little bit better. Animals. Okay, good. Speech bubble. Who's doing the speech bubble?
Pancake.
Pakin.
Oh, was it Auto? Who again? Not Pakin.
Pakin.
Nato. Yeah, that's it. Nato.
I love all the farm animals.
Good. Animals. Exactly. Exactly that. Animals. Oh. What have I done there? Right. Let's make this bigger again as I move down. Look and write the speech marks. So you have the picture with the speech bubbles here, and next to this you have the text with the speech in. So with your color pencil, put in the speech marks. Okay. Show you a little bit like that. With the color pencil, put in the speech marks. Of course, usually speech marks are not with a color pencil, but for this exercise, we'll use a color pencil just so that to show what we're talking about. Okay. And okay. So picture, we have Bill, Brian and Bob, and this is what they're saying. So this one's pointing to Bill. So Bill says, we stayed in a tent. This one points to Bob, who says, it rained every day. Then we go down here. Brian, he's saying, next year I want to stay in a hotel. Right, and over here, if you've already finished this, you should have speech marks. We stayed in a tent, said Bill. It rained every day, said Bob. Brian said, next year I want to stay in a hotel. Right, and let's have a little practice. Oh, that's a nice word. A little practice of speaking. So let's do a little role play. So, Pakin, you are Bill.
Yes.
Marty is Brian. And Best, you are Bob. Okay, so Bill starts.
We stayed in the tent.
Marty.
Next year, I want to stay in a hotel.
Oh no, I was wrong. Sorry, it goes Bill. Sorry, it goes Bill, Bob,
Yes, I think
Brian.
Bill, Bob, and Brian.
Yeah, that was my mistake, not yours. Let's start again. Bill.
We stay in the tent.
It doesn't stay
in
in
a
the
tent.
tent. We stayed in a tent. Again, we stayed in a
We
tent.
stay in a tent.
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 Not number 10. Okay, we stayed in a tent again.
We stay in a tent.
Tent. It sounds like 10. Okay, good. Right, Bob. Best
It
is
rained every day.
okay. Now, Brian.
Next year, I want to stay in a hotel.
Right, let's change. Who is Bill this time? Come on, another student. Who's Bill? Who's Bill?
ใครอยากเป็นบิล
Huh?
No,
Oh,
no,
n-
no.
That's all right. Nobody. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to wait if you don't want if you don't want to speak.
Idea.
Idea. All right. So you're Bill. So who is Bob? Oh no, that doesn't matter because waiting for students to participate sometimes takes too long. Right. So idea. Can you read number 1? Not in the picture. Over here.
We stayed in a tent, said Bill.
We stayed in a tent, said Bill. Okay, who's reading number 2?
Again.
Pack in.
It rained every day, said Bob.
It rained every day, said Bob. It rained every day, said Bob. Okay, 3. Who's reading? Shogun. Go on, Shogun. Show him how to do it. Come on, Shogun.
Brian said next year I went to start in
It's funny, you know, because not only does Shogun speak like a robot, but his microphone sounds like a robot too. Okay, ready? Brian said, next year I want to stay in a hotel. Come on, Shogun.
Brian said in year
Not in year,
I
next
will-
year, next year. Listen again.
next
Brian said, next year I want to stay in a hotel. Go.
Brian say next year I went to start in hot
Oh, I do like Shogun. I don't think there's no student that tries more than Shogun in all of Brattle 4. Well done. Okay, good. That's good. Okay, so yeah, that's all we're gonna do for today. I don't want to do too much book this week because we're getting near Christmas, so I may try and think of something a bit Christmassy to do after this. Right. Good. About speaking English, just like Marty said, yes, you will hear different kinds of English, and it can be confusing, especially when you're learning, because different parts of the world they speak a different. There's American English, of course, but even in America, there's different kinds, and then there's Australia, and there's New Zealand, there's South Africa, and other places that speak it's very different. Even in Great Britain, where I come from, England speak English different to Scotland, different to Wales, different to Northern Ireland, and even people who live in Liverpool sound much different to people who live in Newcastle or live in London. All these different areas, it's all different ways of speaking English, and sometimes the words change, sometimes they don't. What I suggest you do, what I think is good to do, is try not to copy any of the accents. Try not to. Just try to speak what you think is clear, easy to understand English. And that way, whenever you speak English, people will understand you. The difficulty is you understanding them. So that's, I usually have if I speak to people from other parts of the world, usually they can all understand me. But sometimes I don't understand them because they speak with their different accents and things. It's like my mother's side of the family come from England. My father's side come from Scotland. If I go to Scotland, my aunts and uncles and cousins, they speak different to me when they speak English. If they say something and I answer, I don't know. But if I say something and they don't know, they say, I dunno ken. A very different English. So don't worry about it. Just speak English, whatever's you think's the best for you and clear. And whether you say tomatoes or tomatoes, it's really up to you. You know, there's good. Some people speak good American English. Some people speak good British English. Some speak bad. It's just, well, not bad, but very different accents and hard to understand. So don't worry about it. Right. Look at the time. So I have to go because I've got another class waiting. So that's all for today. See you everyone tomorrow. Bye. Bye.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you,
Teacher,
teacher.
bye bye.
Bye bye. See you tomorrow.